What's up, my friends, and welcome into today's episode. I'm so glad that you are here. Allison and I got together right here in the studio to record today's episode today. We couldn't have recorded it any later in order to get it out on time, and we had an absolute blast. We laughed so much this episode. We had a blast poking at each other and having quite a deal of fun. So we hope that you enjoyed today's episode. If you do, please hit that subscribe button wherever you are listening on podcasts or if you're watching on YouTube. We are over 800 subscribers on YouTube. We're closing in on that 1,000 mark. That has been our big goal for the year. So if you're not yet subscribed on YouTube, please, youtube.com/Forte Catholic, hit subscribe. We are so close to that 1,000, which is a huge goal for us. Thank you guys for watching and listening today, and hope that you enjoy it. What's up? Welcome to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Stroll. That is Allison Sullivan.
Wow.
How are you?
Hi.
Are you doing okay?
I mean, that's a fancy new name you gave me, so yeah.
What do you think? Rate it on a scale of 1 to 10.
I can't even remember it to rate it.
Jaquitha.
Did you make that up?
Yeah.
I mean, but you've heard it before. Do you know someone named that? Because you like to name us after people, I've discovered.
No, most of it's made up.
Okay.
I literally made it up to the point where, like, I didn't have this planned because we already tried the intro and you screwed it up. So I came up with it on the fly.
I refuse that responsibility. I did not screw it up. You did.
You're a grown adult.
Listen, you keep telling me to push things and press things, and I want as little responsibility when I show up here as possible. Well, I want to show up and be charming. That's it.
Well, it's not working. You have indeed showed up. You've done half of what you expect of yourself.
I think your listeners should be the judge of that.
Well,
you're a tough crowd.
They are
Taylor.
pretty
You're
judgy. I'm not
going
to lie. You have something that has happened in your life recently that is confusing to me.
Okay.
Because it is like one of the things completely associated with Liv Harrison.
How's that?
And now you have tried to steal it.
Oh, got it. Steal it? You get it? Steal it?
I did. So Liv, one of her claims to non-fame. It's just like, she just likes being next to fame like me. Neither of us are famous, but like you, Anthony, John, like that sort of thing. But she grew up in the town where this movie that's really old.
Oh my gosh.
Anybody that was alive when it came out is ancient.
That's
called Steel Magnolias.
Rudish.
You know what year that movie came out?
Definitely 80s.
Was it 80s? I thought it was.
Yeah. I'm going to hold on. I'd like to guess. I'm going to guess 87.
Okay. Let's see if I was indeed. What did I say earlier? Anybody that was born when this movie came out was ancient?
Yeah.
It came out 2 weeks after I was born. I'm ancient.
I love when God spanks your little hiney and I get to watch.
That's weird. October 25th, 1989 was when the greatest Catholic podcaster was born.
Oh,
November 5th, 1989 was when a movie that got a 70 on Rotten Tomatoes and a 56 on Metacritic came out. You can currently watch it now on Netflix or locally in the Bryan area.
On the stage. On
Allison
Center Stage,
Sullivan
to be exact. You have not said the movie. Like, your listeners
I did.
Steel Magnolias?
Yeah.
I don't think you did.
I think I did.
Okay.
Let's let our listeners be judgy.
Okay. Well, so Liv was born in, is it Natchez?
Yes.
Okay. And so, yes, that is one of her fun talking points, that she totally lived there and probably knows the Christmas festival that has this, shining moment in the plot. And yeah, it's a great show. Have you seen it? Have you seen the movie?
You look so hunched over.
I know. I know, and I keep trying to fix it. It's a camera thing. I'm not.
There you go. Now you can sit.
I don't think that's fixing it either, to be honest.
Okay.
But I keep trying to fix it, and then that feels weird. So it's a problem.
We're just
okay, but anyways.
Pop, lock, and drop it. Pop, lock, and drop it.
You are kind of a good chair dancer.
Thank you.
A while ago, because you always say you don't like to dance, you hate dancing, you don't want to be at the wedding on the dance floor.
Yeah.
But every now and then, if a beat comes on that you're enjoying, you are a good little, I imagine it's from the car, car dancer.
The listeners know this because I'm white. I have this theory on white people.
Okay.
I can dance my lower half pretty well.
Oh.
I can dance my upper half pretty well. I can't do both at the same time.
Yes. Okay, that makes sense to me.
I can groove up here on the top.
Yeah, you're
or
good.
I can
yeah,
shake my tush.
okay.
Just can't.
It's just
If you try to do both together, it looks like
unintentionally
when you
funny.
catch a bug in a trap or something.
Yeah, when I dance, people think I'm kidding, and I'm like, I'm not kidding.
I've seen you dance.
How's that?
We've been at dances together.
Really? Oh, yes.
Liv was there.
Does that count? I don't know if that counts.
Of course it counts because it was the most.
I had a blast.
there was what do they call it? Like fluid influencers.
Okay, so yes, I am in Steel Magnolias. It is on stage.
Is this your first stage production?
It is.
And you specifically chose the one to upstage Liv, literally.
Oh my gosh, what in the world? This is okay. Liv is not the only one that has like a heart for this movie. I mean, this is beloved.
Like 8 people live in that town.
Oh my gosh, but the movie was huge. The cast alone, like Julia Roberts, Olympia Dukakis, Dolly Parton. Hello. I say that I'm not a very like starstrucky type person. Like I could meet people and like be fine. You're just a person. It's cool. If I met Dolly Parton, I would lay down and cry.
I've seen Dolly Parton perform.
Isn't she lovely?
Isn't she lovely? That's not her song,
I'm gonna cry when she dies. Like it, I love Dolly Parton. All that to say, everyone loves Steel Magnolias. Liv is
I've
not the
never
only.
seen it.
Well, that's why you're confused. So you should see it, and then you should come see the play. I do think people need to see the movie before they see the play.
You told me this the other day when you were leaving my house.
Yeah.
That makes me think the play is bad. If I have to know something going in, that sounds to me, literally the thing that I put in my head was like my kids trying to tell me the plot of a movie. And you're like, oh, just watch the movie and your kid will make sense. It's like, I think you're not giving yourself enough credit.
Well, thank you, I guess. Here's the thing. Here's what it is that so plays that are written for the stage are a little bit abbreviated, right? I mean, there's only so many scenes you can do. There's only so many sets you can do. It's just, whereas there's only so many effects you have. And so people have to pay attention. It's obviously dialogue heavy, right? Well, in a movie, you have a lot of movement and a lot of different locations. And so there's a fleshing out that happens in a movie. So it's kind of like if you were reading a book and then you saw the movie, you'd be like, read the book first, because that's even more of a fleshing out. I know, but it really gives you a fuller experience. And for somebody that is, how do I say this politely, critical, if you saw the movie first, I think it would make you less critical of what's happening on stage.
So you're trying to protect yourself by making me watch this twice.
Listen, trying to make you nice to me? Yes. So you are actually very good at giving just the right amount of insult that like my feelings aren't actually hurt. I can just pretend that they're hurt.
I feel like I'm usually pretty good at that, and then every now and then I cross the line, and then people get mad at me.
Well, anyways, yes, I am Clary in Steel Magnolias,
which was played by who?
Olympia Dukakis, and
I've never heard of that person. Everyone
that has seen it is like, "Oh my gosh, that is the perfect role for you," because she's a good friend. She's got, some sass. She's a little sarcastic, so it's fun. I'm having a blast.
It does sound perfect for you, but here's my thought.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were one. I've seen pictures and you have like incredible gray hair, and it made me so happy to see what this would look like if you didn't color it.
I know, right? Well, here's the problem. I love the second wig I wear, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, I think maybe I should go short. Here, I
meant to ask you to bring it.
I should have. What were we thinking? Okay, but I want to tell you a true story. So after I saw Frozen, I was like, their bangs are so cute. Anna and Elsa's bangs are so cute. I'm going to get bangs. I cut bangs after a cartoon. After seeing a cartoon. So I'm like, we are not going to make the same mistake because I like this short hair and a wig where I chop off my hair and think it's going to look the same. Don't be ridiculous.
If only there was some other way that I could look like this and take pictures. Dang it.
So I've been making everyone who loves me pinky promise. I will not cut my hair. I will not cut my hair. Anyways.
Like anyone in your life has control over you.
Well, again, thank you, I guess.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So here's my thing.
Okay.
Because we knew,
Mhm.
you know, you've got all these LA connections now.
Mhm.
And so I assumed that you were going to be playing one of these leading roles. And you keep saying this Dukakis name.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the Wikipedia and I
Okay.
see Sally Field's character, Julia Roberts' character, Dolly Parton's character,
Mhm.
a man or woman named Daryl Hannah's character.
It's a woman. She's lovely. Also,
Isn't she lovely?
she is.
Isn't Daryl lovely? But I don't see your character listed in the main.
Wow,
description.
that
So-
is painful because
so you're
it's
like-
actually an ensemble, and we all have the
1,
same
2,
amount of
3,
lines.
4. So you're not top 4 billing.
No,
in
that's
this local play.
ridiculous. That's ridiculous. We all have this.
I thought you were famous. What's wrong with you? TikTok fame doesn't translate to stage fame. You couldn't even get the Dolly Parton part.
Oh, Truvy would be fun. Yeah, that would be fun. No, there's 6 people, and it's all pretty equal. So I don't know what's up with Wikipedia. I have
feel
to
like
have a word.
That's something the director tells you when you're like, okay, you can be the tree.
No, come see.
You have equal time. You can
You'll
be the tree.
see. You'll
the tree's
see.
there in most of the scenes.
I have one of the most fun scenes. It happens towards the end, and yeah. So anyway, I love my role. It's perfect.
So
for
what
me.
is Steel Magnolias about, and why are the plants made of steel?
Okay, so there's no, what do you call it? Spoilers? There's no spoiler alerts when a movie's like a jillion years old, right? So like, let's just go ahead and say what it's about.
I'm now a jillion years old because it's my age. Quite
But
literally my
I mean,
age.
aren't there rules to spoilers? It's
Yeah,
like
2
you're
weeks.
2 weeks. Okay, well, we're far past that. So here we go.
It's 2 weeks from my birthday.
Yeah,
Literal birthday.
Turn it down. Plug your ears if you don't want to know.
Hey,
But
my ears plugged. It's funny.
you're halfway there already. So it is about a very small local beauty shop where all of these best friends kind of congregate on Saturdays basically and share their lives with one another. And one of the lady's daughters is getting married and she is a diabetic. And so she has this really just fragile body that she needs to be very aware of. And she gets pregnant.
Is that your character?
No. She gets pregnant against doctors' recommendations and ends up passing away. And so these women all come together to support one another. And there is this line in the play that the men are supposed to be like steel, and one by one, they couldn't take it when they like turned off the machines, and it was just her and her mom left, and it was her and these women. And so the Magnolias there's kind of a fight over these magnolia blooms because of wedding decorations. Anyways, it's just kind of funny. And anyways, so it's steel magnolias because we are these southern, delicate, beautiful women, but we're made of steel because we're strong as all get out. And there's this one very beautiful monologue in the movie, and it reminds me of the women staying at the foot of the cross. And so we're all kind of pushed to our furthest edges when it comes to emoting in that scene, and that's always just what gets me. So
I'm not surprised. I was going to say starring, but clearly you're not one of the top 4. But I'm not surprised you're almost starring in an anti-man show.
it's not anti-man.
Not only is your show anti-man, you're saying that the crucifixion story is now anti-man because the one man still at the cross was crucified. And then
See, this is such a lovely microcosm of when people lose privilege, it feels like persecution. We can celebrate our womanhood without bashing men. So that's what it's about.
The men are steel and they all disappeared. Yeah, it's not bashing men at all. They weren't good enough. They couldn't cut it, but the women totally could.
Oh my gosh. So, by the way, I do need to have a word with Wikipedia because if Shirley MacLaine as Weezer isn't in the top 4, I am
one of the hit rappers in 1989. Weezer.
Oh my gosh, that's actually funny. But I am in good company if she was left off of the top 4 because Shirley MacLaine as Weezer is brilliant.
You got outcast by a man or a woman named Daryl.
She's Daryl Hannah. She's beautiful. She's like 6 foot tall and blonde.
Imagine
and
having 2 names and one's a man's name and one's a woman's name.
I love when women have boys' names. I think it's sexy. Like Alex.
What about when boys have girls' names? Do you think that's sexy?
I feel like you're about to turn me into a bigot somehow by saying no, but no, I don't.
Allison, what's my name? I was just trying to trick you.
That's hilarious. I've never thought of it. You're Taylor. You're Taylor.
You've
You're not.
never thought of that.
I've never thought that you have a girl's name. I don't know. I know a lot of guys named Taylor. I have a cousin named Taylor.
It's 50-50. It's 50-50, I think.
Yeah.
Which means I have higher billing as a Taylor than you have in this
There are ones where I'm like, really? Like Shannon or Courtney. I'm like, come on. Like that feels rude.
Shannon, I think is more girls. I like there was a basketball player named Courtney Lee. He was very manly. So he can pull it off. Courtney for me.
Yeah.
What was there was two, Corey, and what was the guy's name? I can't think of it. But there was this like the hottest guy and the hottest girl in our school. They were brother and sister, and they were like flipped.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the girl was Corey. And the guy was a girl's name. I can't remember. And it was all
I like androgynous names for girls.
Androgynous?
Yeah.
Sounds like a
genderless.
Oh, okay. Oh, and now you're bringing your genderless agenda here to the show. I see what's happening. First it's man bashing. Now there can't be men. I see what you're doing here.
Oh, have mercy.
Oh, man. So, Steel Magnolias, huh?
Come see it. It's downtown Bryan. It's fun. Yeah, we've been sold out like every performance. It's been a blast. I'm having the time of my life.
There's 8 chairs.
Who knew?
Sold out every night.
It is small. It is tiny. Like, do not come expecting, this really fancy production. It is just wondrful women coming together. Here's the thing about stage acting. Jeez. It has been 50-50 every performance. We thought that it would be all women, and there have been so many lovely men there.
Everybody there is named Taylor, Courtney.
Okay,
Shannon.
are you coming?
I hope so. How much longer is it going to go?
2 more weekends, but it's sold.
It's only weekends.
It's sold out. It's Thursday through
then I
Sunday.
guess I'm not coming.
Well, the last weekend is not sold out yet.
Okay.
But anyways.
The last weekend is when I'm emceeing
I think there's
a conference.
There's a few more seats this weekend.
I can come this weekend.
But here, the thing about stage acting is like it's this. Okay, so you know how when things are true with a capital T, it's like they're true everywhere. So like there's so many things that happen when I'm teaching yoga where I'm like, oh wow, that's a metaphor for life, and it's true with stage acting too. Like it requires such full presence. Like you have to be fully present to not flub a line, to not miss a line, because once you get comfortable with your lines, you can get a little too comfortable on stage. And like, I have a prop where I'm like reading an old Star magazine, and I'm like, oh, Sylvester Stallone did it. And I'm like, oh, I missed a line because I'm like reading about Sylvester Stallone. Anyways, there's just this really neat practice really for life about being fully present in a moment, like really not letting things distract you from what's most important. And that's been my favorite part is just the mutuality that happens in being fully present with 5 other women on a stage. It's been really, really beautiful. And you just get like you perform past your censor. It's like there's something about being fully present that has really transformed the way that I'm living life right now. Like I absolutely love this and I had no idea I would.
So a place that I struggle being fully present is like in church. So do you struggle with that, or are you a good enough actor where you could pretend and play like you're paying attention? Because you look really holy when you're in church. Granted, I haven't seen you in a while, but you do look pretty holy in church.
No, I think, that's funny that you say that. So we go on.
That's so funny.
Oh, stop. That's how I said that just then.
So California.
Ew, sorry. Okay, so I love California. We do this a little friend ski trip almost every year. But I'm like an okay skier. I'm fine. But anyways, this guy, a friend that we were skiing with was like, for someone that only kind of likes skiing, like you sure do look good doing it. Like, and he meant like you look really
a swingers trip?
He meant like you look really comfortable on a ski slope. Like you look really, so I know how things are supposed to look. Like I know what a good skier looks like, and then I mimic it. So I think there's something about knowing what a good actor looks like and then mimicking it versus actually being it. And I think mimicry is the second best thing to holiness. Like, you know what holiness is, and then you can just mimic it. But actually being holy requires exactly what you just said, which is full presence. So am I fully present in church? I have to think about it. I have to be fully present. Like it's something that I have to return to again and again and again.
What's interesting though is that like the mimicry is better than nothing.
Agreed.
Than being bad. Right?
Agreed.
To where like we all learn how to be holy like as kids, but even like I'm reminded when I zone out a mass or whatever, and I see somebody else doing it, I'm reminded to be like, oh, I need to head forward, pay attention, put my phone away, look at the priest, look at the or close my eyes or whatever. Like the mimicry actually helps get to that next place.
I totally agree. I think that's a really deep point because I think that you can accidentally find some holiness like in the mimicry of
that's the only way I've done it in my entire life.
Well, that's not for nothing. I don't know. This might be a little TMI and I might regret sharing this, but that's okay.
I hope it's not the TMI thing you shared before the show.
Oh, stop! Okay, so when we were adopting Emmanuel, there were all of these really wonderful reasons that we felt called to do this and wanted to do this and felt excited to do this. And then there was this really I don't know, worrying part of me that was I was confiding in a group of friends where I was like, what if I'm just doing this because I like how the picture looks in my head of us with this adopted baby? Like, what if I'm a poser? What if I'm whatever? And my friend so calmly, I just love this. She so calmly looked at me and was like, Allison, there's going to be good reasons and there's going to be bad reasons for every single thing that we do. It's okay. Do the thing. So, I just loved the liberation in that. Like, how much bigger is the God we serve than the one we think we serve? And there was just something so accepting and God knows our motivations, and it's okay. I just think that what he's been doing in my walk lately has just been very tender. He's been very gentle with me lately. And so I just feel like I know a different side of him, and all of the things that disappoint me about myself and his tenderness with them has been really motivating. So,
and the way that is proven to myself and to all the listeners is that you're not offended that you're not a top 4 building in this play that you're in.
Not at all.
Don't go anywhere.
Don't.
We'll be right back. Today's sponsors are our friends over at Be a Heart Designs. They sent me this St. Joseph Saint doll. I'm so excited about this. It's really for my kids, but I'm super excited about it. I'm jealous of his hair. If you're watching, you can see this. He has tremendous hair. He's got a little saw here. He's got an L in his pocket for, Satan is a loser. I'm just kidding. It's a little measuring thing for carpenters. And then I found this little treasure on the back of him. He has a little backpack, and inside of his backpack, there's this little card, and it says, St. Joseph, father of Jesus. But here's the little reflection on the back. Imagine you are cutting wood with Joseph, the carpenter from Nazareth. Imagine him teaching you to hear God in the silence as your hand slides over the plank in front of you. For Joseph knows that God is in all things. So we are so excited for to be partnering with our friends over at Be a Heart Design. They have great dolls like this. They have stuff for kids. They have stuff for adults. They have stuff for your home. They have all kinds of Catholic lifestyle products. So head on over to beaheart.com, beaheart.com. Right now, they are doing their summer sale, which means that there's a little pop-up right when you go to their website. If you sign up for their newsletter, you will get 10% off your first purchase store-wide. So stock up right now from our friends over at Be a Heart Design. St. Joseph says to go to Be a Heart Design. That's what St. Joseph would sound like if he spoke English. Do it now, beaheart.com. Welcome back to Forte Catholic. What are you doing with your shirt there?
Showing it off.
Showing off your Sinner Saint Sister shirt that we're both.
We didn't talk about how cutie we are right now.
I like doing stuff like that. I like this hat. I wore this Greatest Grandpa hat for months before somebody was like, "What are you wearing?"
Stop it. That says Greatest Grandpa.
It does.
That is fantastic.
So my oldest child is 9.
I kind of want one. Except it's not as funny when I'm wearing it.
I think it's just as funny.
No, I could be a grandma.
But you're not a grandpa. There goes your gender thing again. You and your gender agenda today.
Okay, now that would be funny. I showed up today with an agenda. That is so funny. Oh my gosh. You've had a couple of things that have genuinely made me laugh today. Usually I'm just being polite.
Usually you're just acting. I mean, we know that you're a B-list local actor. So.
partners together. We're saints. We're sisters.
Like,
You're actually funny. What's happening?
This might be the first thing that I wore that kind of got this reaction like this. Like people would look at me like, what? Well, no, I guess the first thing was the Make Catholicism Fun Again hats that I had that were the red that looked just like the previous presidents. And people would walk up to me angry and then laugh when they got close. And it's like, that's kind of the reaction I want from humans.
That's what we were after.
We kind of wanted to be angry at him, but he's actually kind of funny. Like that's kind of what I want from people. And then this one was the next one, wearing this like I would wear this to work out. So it's like there's this big guy wearing a sister shirt. And then now I'm wearing the Greatest Grandpa. I just love the reactions.
It's good. Okay, so to be clear, your MO, like if we could just like boil this down, is I want you to be angry at me, but then you laugh.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
I want you
Taylor
to
Schroll
think
in a
I'm
nutshell.
A jerk, but then realize that I'm actually a good person.
It's a very big nutshell, but yes. Okay.
I think it makes total sense to everyone listening right now.
Yeah, no, it does. I've just never boiled it down that plainly, that simply. But yeah, that's
know
it.
Thyself, man.
Know thyself.
So we started this thing. I've talked about it on the show before, but this is the first time that I've talked about it since it started. We started this new ministry at our church called Foundations, and yours truly is running it, and I'm really enjoying it. So, just kind of a backtrack a little bit. We started Alpha at our parish, which we didn't make that up. That's a national,
right?
Or not even national, like I couldn't think of the word global. I almost said yearly. It's yearly across the year, just all over the
universal.
In
church.
The year of Africa, in the year of Europe, in the year of Asia. Just across the whole year. But it's this global thing, and we started it, and then we were like, "What's after Alpha? Like, what's the next thing that you need to do?" Because Alpha is all about like relationship with Jesus, proving that God is real. You want to have a relationship with him, right? Yeah. And then the next thing, we're like, what on this like path of discipleship? What's the next thing? Mm-hmm. So we called it Foundations, which is like we're kind of doing like the top 10 like Catholic teachings, like the foundational teachings of the Catholic Church, right? Because we got God, we got Jesus, and now let's build on that foundation with the foundations of the church. And this group that's going through it is like I'm the youngest person in the room by a pretty wide margin. Mm-hmm. And so it's this interesting thing of like, I've worked with young people for forever. And I'm now that I'm getting older, I mean, I'm as old as the Steel Magnolias. So, I mean, it's not like I'm a young little sapling anymore. So,
with Magnolias, that was clever. Gosh, you're on today. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I didn't even mean to do that. So, but I've done things like I've done events for seniors, like not in high school, but like I've done a couple events for seniors. I've done, and they love me.
I was just gonna ask, how do they take you, Taylor?
Like what we talked about earlier.
You're intended.
They were like angry for a while. Then they're like, actually, he's pretty cool.
Okay,
like,
you're fine.
He's loud.
He's loud. I can hear him.
Can you turn down the volume? Ma'am, we don't even have a sound system. That's just him. So like I've done events for that. I've done like parish, like I've done some parish-wide events now. And it's like usually some older people. So I'm starting to get into this realm where doing youth ministry, you kind of feel like, oh yeah, like I'm the person that knows the most in the room. Uh-huh. But now that we're doing like older people, it's one of those things where it's like, now I'm just one of many. Like, there are people who know a lot more about the church in some aspects than I do. I mean, I've studied this stuff and I've given my life to it, so I would hope that I would know more than at least some people in the room. Yeah. But it's this wide gamut of people who, what I've noticed, we've done 2 of them now. We've had 2 weeks of this, and what I've heard from them and what I've heard from like some of the other, some of the, their peers, some of the older adults that are helping me, is that like they've had conversations because they're friends, right? Yeah. And they're like, a lot of people have been going to church and sitting through mass and doing all this stuff and haven't learned this stuff their whole life. Sure. Because they grew up in a time period where systematic theology wasn't being taught. Yeah. It's just like just peace, love, and Jesus and go about your life. And they're great people, but they haven't had this systematic theology. Or there's this other group of people where I kind of feel like I kind of fit in. It's like we know a lot of things. Yeah. But there's two things about it. And this is how I always approach it with people, because I don't want to come across as like the young guy trying to just tell everybody, oh yeah, I know more than you, right? Sure. So the 2 things that I always say when I'm working with older people is, one, I might tell you something new. I might be able to teach you something you've never heard. Because like I did half a master's in this. I have an undergrad degree in this. Like I've studied it for work and all this kind of stuff. I might tell you something new. And that'd be great. Because every new thing that we learn about God is another reason to love him. Right? I've said that this is all stuff, and ironically enough, it's fitting the theme of this segment because it's like this is stuff that I talked about like early on in the show and just haven't talked about in a while.
Yeah.
Because it's like foundational for the show, and then we just kind of moved on.
Right.
But like every new thing we learn about God is another reason to love him. Just like when you started dating your husband, it's like you're learning new things about him, and most of the things make you fall a little bit more in love with him. Some of the things you're like, I don't know if he's the one, but you work through those things. But the good news about God is he doesn't have those things, But so it's like I might teach you something new, but what I was probably going to do more is remind you of things that you've known for a long time and bring them back to the forefront and maybe help you apply them to your life now. Yeah. It's one of those things like even to the most basic of like, God loves you, right? We've all heard that. Jesus loves you. This I know, for the Bible tells me so. We've all heard that Jesus loves us so often. Yeah. But then somebody might say it at the right moment when you feel like a piece of crap and you feel like nobody loves you and God doesn't love you. And you're just like, oh, this most basic teaching of Christianity, I kind of forgot that.
Yeah. It's kind of like a Bible study on Philippians. And you're like, oh, really? A Bible study on Philippians? How novel. But then it's like, but you've never studied Philippians
Not
now.
A novel, a letter.
But you haven't studied it right at this stage of your life with what you're carrying right now. And so absolutely, it's like new and fresh. One of the things you said something a second ago that reminded me of every now and then I will write something, whether it's something in the book or a post or something where it's like, oh my gosh, I feel that exact thing. I just haven't put it into words like that. Thank you, and there's something so intimate about that shared experience. It's like, just because I said it, we both know it, and there's some way I put it that made you think of something that you already know, but there's mutuality. There's that word again. There's mutuality in that shared experience.
I don't remember that word coming up before.
Last segment, I was just talking about the mutuality that happens on a stage because you're in this this shared moment together.
I was trying to figure out how to connect it to faith somehow.
But okay, again, so I said this in the last interview I did for my own show, is that she was being very kind and saying, you're such a good host in how you like transition or whatever. And I said, well, to be honest with you.
There you go with your gender ideology. Transitioning.
Oh gosh, jeez, a gender. So she was giving me a compliment and I was saying, to be honest, when I go back and listen, I learn new things because I'm not 100% present because I am thinking of that, like how to get to whatever. So anyways, yes, you were thinking about how are we going to fit God into this little segment?
Like Allison's been talking about Stephen Knowles for 16 minutes. What are we going to do?
While I was saying brilliant things. Anyways, but there's mutuality. You have that shared experience and it's very intimate. It's very bonding. And so you have really bonded with this group. I mean, you talk about this group a lot. I mean, I think it comes up every time I see you. Like you're really
I'm really
growing
excited.
And you're really, and by the way, the other thing that I was thinking while you were talking is that you have the young people that you're always shaping. I mean, as a coach or whatever, like you're always pouring into them and it's just your lifestyle. And then now you have this older, more mature group that you're with. And I have found that it's in those times in my life where I'm with both that I am probably the sharpest, because you have to stay sharp to mentor young people. You have to have humility to be mentored by older people. And there's something about the mutuality of both of those that's when I'm at my best.
I'm worried for you then if you find that, because you're going to run out of people older than you very soon.
See, this is how you think you're hurting my feelings and I can pretend to be offended. And it's fantastic because I don't care that I'm old.
Yeah, then you'll disappear.
I love that I'm old.
Disappear for 6 weeks and I won't hear from you. Oh yeah, I was just pretending that you hurt my feelings.
Jeez. I love being old. I told you, I wish I was born 40. It's where all the good stuff happens.
Today's show would have been so much better if you would have brought your wig.
Can we do it next time or is the moment past?
Well, you can still bring it back and you'll wear it and we won't reference it at all.
Right, yes. Okay, perfect. And those who know. If you know, you know. Anyways, foundations.
So the other thing is this whole idea of systematic theology. It's like it's not only, it's not saying that it's a system, but it's like there's an order to it, right? Uh-huh. So the way that I do it, and like we're on video, but most of y'all listen on audio only. But it's like, think of like a dartboard, right? So or like
concentric
a
circles.
whiteboard. Let's think of a whiteboard.
Okay.
Right. I immediately put it away. You're like, let's stick with the circles. Like a whiteboard, right? So in the middle of the whiteboard,
I'm gonna draw a dartboard on it. Is what I'm gonna do. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Whiteboard.
We're gonna draw a dartboard in the middle of the whiteboard, and in that side of that dartboard is gonna be the Trinity. Right.
Okay.
That's the most important thing. The Trinity. It's a circle. See what I did there? I'm able to all the crap you throw out I can use. So there's this whiteboard in the middle. There's the Trinity. And it's like, we know things about the Eucharist. Let's say that we put that a little bit outside of the Trinity. And then we also know things about like fasting on Fridays during Lent. And that's way out on the top right corner of the whiteboard.
Gotcha.
And then the bottom left of the whiteboard is Allison's gender ideology.
Yeah,
like
right.
the church is teaching on gender. And then up here, there's the church is teaching on abortion. And over here is like the church is teaching on the Old Testament and like, did the earth really flood? Was Adam and Eve real people?
Right.
You know, like there's the church is teaching on that. And it's like, we might know little pockets of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of you might know the church is teaching on all those things, some of those things, none of those things, whatever. But it's like there's two things that we need to do. First of all, we always need to be able to draw a line on the whiteboard from that teaching to the Trinity, to God, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, how does, the Eucharist is really easy. It's like right outside that circle. It's like, how does this connect with, it's like, oh, God sent his son and then he left us the Eucharist. Okay, that's easy. But it's like gender ideology.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a deeper topic. How does that connect with God? But then also being able to draw lines between those things. It's like this top right corner of like fasting in Lent. How does that connect to gender ideology, right? How do we start drawing lines between all these to where it's all connected through the Trinity in the middle, but it's also like it's a connected thing where it's like, because that, what is it? I can't think of the word. It's like where you hold two things in your head at once that don't make sense together.
Like an anomaly. A dichotomy? Hold on. Okay.
It's something. I feel really dumb. I tried to bring it up, but
okay.
It's like your a duality. Maybe that's the thing. It's like you hold these two things in your head, and you're like, how can I believe these two things at once? Like for instance, how can I believe that Scripture is inerrant, like having no errors, but also I read the first two chapters of Genesis, and the creation stories are completely different from each other. How is that not an error, right? How am I able to hold those two things? And it's like we have to dig a little bit deeper into theology and like start realizing like, oh, like we don't believe that like, the first few books of Genesis are like factual historical stuff. It's still teaching truth though, right? So it's like, because people can read the Bible and be like, oh, it already contradicts itself in the first two chapters. And it's like, well, we need to know more. We need to know where did the Bible come from? How is the Bible written? How was what was the point of the authors? What was God trying to say? And we have to hold all these things in to make these things that seem like a dichotomy in our head.
Right.
Oh, like actually that all makes sense together.
And the tension between them is we're invited to lean into that. That's okay. What I hear you saying in all this, which I love, is that it's a lot of an exercise of keeping the major things major and the minor things minor. That's not to say they don't matter. It's just to say it's not foundational.
Yeah.
So like when Jesus showed up and when we analyze his life and his words and his actions, his ministry, that is an invitation to know who God is. God, in sending Jesus, seemed to be laying himself out on the dissection table saying, look at me, examine me. What do you find? And when we look at Jesus and how he lived and the things that he said, now we know who God is. We have to make that adjustment. That God isn't, when we look at Jesus, he's not this, angry figure with his holy hands on his, disappointed hips, tapping his toe at us. Jesus, again, this came up in the first segment also, but is so gentle, except for the people, of course, who, we're not gentle at all.
Gentiles. Pronounced Gentile. You brought up this thing that I don't think I've ever talked about on the show. Have you ever heard of the hierarchy of truths? So that's another thing that I didn't learn until I was in grad school. And it's exactly what you were just saying. The church has this hierarchy of truths. So there's dogma at the top. So like the central church teachings, the highest authority of teaching. So like the Trinity, the Incarnation, sacraments, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Next is doctrine. So official teaching based on revelation, teaching on faith and morals, that sort of thing. And then the next thing is discipline. So like church practices to aid in our holiness. So like no meat on Fridays during Lent, that sort of thing, right?
Sure.
So
to
like
aid in holiness. I like that.
Even getting that hierarchy, because I think so often people, it's like the food pyramid kind of thing. It's like you try to flip the pyramid over, where we're like, oh, like somebody's not, somebody ate meat on Fridays. And it's like, okay, like that's an issue, but it's not as important as somebody believing in a Trinitarian God, or somebody believing in the incarnation, or somebody believing in like the dogmas, or like the Marian dogmas and these sorts of things, right? Where it's like we're trying to make the important things more important and kind of get back to the basics.
Because it's always easier, especially with holiness. Again, this is kind of the mimicry thing, where it's like you go for the lowest hanging fruit. Like, what's the easiest thing I can change in order to appear holy? Okay, so I shouldn't say this word, or I should, clean up my language this way, or not smoke or not drink. Okay, yes. Good, fine. But if we're just trying to mimic how holiness looks, it's kind of like the disciples, really pressing Jesus for, okay, but what's most important here? And he's like, look, would you just love God supremely and love others wildly, please? Like that's where we get to that smallest circle. And then if if we're cleaning up our language on this, outer ring of the dartboard over here, like, yes, that certainly helps. But here.
Yeah, we got to get the loving God and loving people thing right. And I think that's one of the things that I like to invite people in this Foundations, and it's reminding me, and I wanted to come on and to remind people here. It's like because of who I am and kind of like the knowledge that I have and the work that I'm in, I can often tune out I tune out homilies all the time, because it's like, this is basic stuff for the basic person in the pew or whatever. And it's this prideful thing of like, oh, I don't need to hear this, whenever it's like, no, like we need to come back to the basics, because it's like the biggest thing of all of this. It's like, yeah, it's nice to learn new things. It's nice to revisit and kind of grow in our knowledge. Yeah, because we can grow to love God more. But ultimately, it's all about the application of this stuff. Yeah. It's about applying these things to our lives. And, it's like, oh, I can tune out. It's like, oh, yeah, of course we need to forgive our enemies, blah, blah, blah. I still have enemies that I haven't finished forgiving,
Right.
And like, so I like tuning out these basic things. It's been a challenge to me, and I want to challenge people today to like, when you want to tune out of like basic things, whether it's on this show or on other shows or in mass or in Bible study, or like, oh, I'm not going to go to Bible study. I'm like, it has been encouraging to me. There are so many people at this Foundations course that don't need it, and they're coming anyway.
Yeah.
And it's just the
really
humility
cool.
of being
Totally
able to
humility,
like want to continue to grow by returning to the basics.
Yeah. There's someone who's come by my house the last couple of days in a row asking for help, and he's looking for work, and we did not have any work that needed done. We just finished a bunch of work, actually. And
is he any good at audio editing?
And I bet he's a quick study. Anyways, I packed a bag of, just healthy food and waters. And anyways, I gave him my phone number, and we've been texting. And so it was during a time that was very busy for me, because it was opening weekend of the play. And I had this moment where I was frustrated by the texts coming in. And this sentence went through my head was, I don't have time for this. And I was so quickly taken back to the Good Samaritan and the holy people passing him on the street who did not have time. I don't have time for this. And so it was just such a way to slow down. And this feels like a really good practice in getting back to basics, slowing down, refocusing on the things that are most important, and then kind of going from there. And how beautiful to do it in community. I mean, that's just exactly what God intended.
So I have one final question for you. Let me find the year.
I was going to say I'm ready, but I don't know that I am.
So have you ever heard of the Christian boy band For Him, the number 4 and the word him?
No, but I don't think I like them already.
In 1992.
For Him in 1992.
Yeah.
That was my prime.
3 years after Steel Magnolias, 3 years after Taylor Stroll, you decide which one was more influential on the world. They had this song that I remember tremendously. We've turned the page, for a new day has dawned. We've rearranged what's right and what's wrong. The song is called Basics of Life, We need to get back to the basics of life. My homework for everyone is to go listen to this song from 1992.
This is an endorsement.
For him. I think it's tremendous.
Okay.
And it might be cornier than I remember, but I love this song.
Taylor, have you always wanted to be in a Christian boy band?
Did
you miss a calling?
I think I'm good enough to have been in a real boy band. I feel like I was born 10
Would you
years
have been
too
the
late.
bad boy? Which one would you have been? You wouldn't have been the sweet, high-pitched one that everyone's in love with.
No,
I mean, sorry. But...
Well, we learned on one of the last episodes that John could have been this deep voice.
Oh,
voice
yes,
to men.
yes.
So I'm a baritone. I'm right in the middle.
Okay.
Right in the middle. So
okay.
Anyway, for real, I want someone to. There's 1,000 of y'all listening. I want one person to go listen to the song and tell me it's good.
I hear an action list. It looks like there are action items to this episode here. You need to pray for someone that is an enemy. You need to pray for an enemy. You need to go look for him, and you need to come see Steel Magnolias.
Yep, and I will let you decide the hierarchy of homework there. I think listening to For Him, and then maybe you could put two together and pray for me as the enemy that makes you listen to that song. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Our YouTube channel has been popping off recently. We want to thank you guys for watching it. Not only do you get full-length episodes of this show so you can see us and not only hear us, but we have been releasing a lot of new videos in our A Catholic Perspective series. This is where either just me or me and some of my friends walk through some of the biggest hits in pop culture from movies to TV shows. So there are currently our Catholic reviews up right now of the hit multiversal show Everything Everywhere All at Once, Moon Knight on Disney Plus, Encanto, The Morning Show, Loki, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And we've also got our top 10 Catholic podcasts that you should be listening to right now. That video has almost 10,000 views. So if you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, please do. We can become a partner with YouTube when we hit 1,000 subscribers and the right amount of watch time. And we are so close on both of those things. And you can help us out today for free by subscribing at youtube.com/Forte Catholic. Just hit the little subscribe button. And that little number going up is the thing that makes me happier than anything in the world. So subscribe today if you haven't already, and thanks in advance. Hope you enjoy it. Welcome back to Forte Catholic. I am Taylor Stroll, and that is Allison Sullivan. Did I say it the same as what I did at the beginning?
You did.
I think so.
You did.
I think that's the one. I'm the one, yeah. Okay, so I had a segment that I meant to do last week with John, and then we just ran out of time because we were doing other things.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I think I was looking through my notes of what we could possibly talk about, and I was like, clearly you're not a sports fan, and you flipped out on me.
I am offended by that. I am. I love sports. I have wrestled you to the ground in the middle of a football game.
But here again,
someone who is not a sports fan.
Show. There's a difference between local sports and plays and like the real deal.
How's that? I admit I do prefer college sports. So does that make me like mid-tier fan?
Yes.
I mean,
yeah, college sports.
Because I don't like professional sports. Stop it. I'm trying to hide my gum, which you get mad at me about.
I can't believe I didn't know it was there.
And you have a cough drop.
I
so,
sure do.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm
houses and all that jazz and pots and kettles and...
You having a stroke?
The older listeners will
I know
appreciate my references.
I know it would be sad, but if you would have a stroke live on camera,
oh my gosh,
in your gray wig, it'd be the best clip I've ever gotten.
Your brain just went there and you said it out loud. Taylor, it's one thing to think it. You don't have to say everything you think. Did you know that? Hi. Help.
You want me to say what I think right now?
That I'm having a stroke? Yes. Induced by frustration.
You think that's
with Taylor
bad?
Schroll.
You should hear the thoughts that I keep in.
Fair enough. Okay. But anyways, I am a sports fan. I care about sports a lot.
I
know the rules. Now, I will say.
You got all pissy at me.
I did. Basketball is my weakness. I will say this. Now, the only thing keeping me out of. Okay. So basketball, the spectators are really close together. together and you're really close to the other fans and you're close to the players, let me tell you, I am not getting out of my basketball spectating career without a dust up. It's not happening. Like, I am going.
Were you there when I got kicked out?
No, but I heard about it and loved it and support it and whatever. And I would have gotten kicked out with you. I feel pretty certain. Like, I'm a little bit of what's wrong with Little League. Like, I can get fired up.
Yeah, a lot of times what I hate is the over like with the whole thing. Like, they have these signs now that's like, oh, the pro scouts aren't here.
Right.
This isn't the major leagues. Y'all need to chill. And I'm like, that doesn't mean that you can call multiple balls strikes.
Right.
Like, that doesn't give you permission to be bad at your job.
I like that. I would like a similar sign. Can I have a rebuttal sign?
Right.
Let's write that.
Right.
I agree. Okay,
that doesn't mean you could be bad at your job.
Yes,
Is our sign.
Yes. Okay, but here's what I wanted to say about basketball. The only thing keeping me out of fights in basketball games is that I don't know the rules well enough to get really rowdy. So, like, when people are like, 3 seconds! I'm like, what's going on about 3 seconds?
14 minutes! Allison, are you just picking numbers and yelling them out?
But I have learned 3 seconds. Anyway, the point is that I'm not very rowdy when it comes to basketball.
Okay, so I'm going to prove my point, though. I'm going to prove that I'm right. One of the most historic things in the NBA Finals, game one. Now, like, game sevens and buzzer beaters are like the most famous things. But one of the most historic things ever happened in game one of the NBA Finals as we record this a week and a half ago.
Okay.
What happened?
Okay, well, John would have been a better co-host for this. I don't deny it.
Right.
Let's see.
You just got all so pissy, and I was like, okay, then what happened? You're like, I have no idea. I'm like, exactly. That's my point.
Then don't call me not a sports fan. You can say I suck at basketball. You can say I don't care about the first game of NBA Finals. Say that. Okay. Don't say I'm not a sports fan. Inaccurate.
I came into this of like, if we're gonna do this, I'm gonna have to explain what happened. And then you're like, oh no, you're not. I'm like, yes, I am.
You're the one that chose to talk about this with me, so
because it's
you're welcome.
It's either I talk about it today with you or I don't talk about it at all because the finals will be over by next week.
Do you want me to just be quiet so you can tell what happened? I can.
Do you want me to say what I think? I think you should do that much more often than you think.
Let me guess what happened.
Okay. Since I already told you
No, you did. I didn't. I have no recollection of that. I'm gonna guess. Is it about a score?
Yep.
Can I ask yes or no questions? Okay.
Yeah, a sports game was about a score. Who'd have thought?
No, shush. The surprising thing that happened. Is it about someone's statistics? Like someone's...
No, it was a team thing.
A team thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know.
Okay. So let me set the stage. The Celtics are in this series. Ironically enough, the Celtics are the most storied franchise in the NBA history. They've won more championships than anybody else. But in this instance, they're the young scrappy team. They're David, and the Warriors are Goliath.
Okay.
The Warriors have won a ton, like I think 3 or 4 championships in the last 10 years.
Right.
They've been there 8 times. They're the old like veteran team. And they're playing not only that, but they're playing at home.
Yeah.
And like one of the big things in basketball specifically, because it's a seven game series, like the NFL, anybody can win at any point on any day, right?
Sure.
But in basketball, usually the better team wins because over 7 games.
It's over 7 games. Yeah. Right.
You just kind of prove it out. Usually that's what happens. Injuries can happen, blah, blah, blah. But usually the better team wins. And so the Celtics are coming in as the young team. They've never been here, and they're playing at Golden State.
Yeah.
And Golden State in this arena, they built this arena. It was somewhere around. I think it was after their first or second championship. They moved into this new arena, new multi-million, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
They've never lost a playoff game in that building.
Wow.
Their home crowd is unbelievable.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure.
I hate them to death, but it's an unbelievable home crowd.
Easy to hate, yeah.
Yeah, they're Goliath. I can't stand the Warriors. I know we have a lot of California listeners. Screw you guys. But
he doesn't mean it. He doesn't mean it.
For these 2 weeks, I don't like you. So they're the big dogs, and they're winning by 15 points at home in the fourth quarter. I'm watching this on vacation, and I'm like, if I was at home, I would have started playing video games. Like that's the point where like the game's over. But I'm on vacation, so it's like I don't have all the other like my video games and all that. I'm just gonna finish watching TV. I'm just relaxing, right? The Celtics went in losing by 15 points. They won the game by 15 points.
No, nice. Yeah.
It was a 30-point swing.
Yeah.
They scored 40 points in the fourth quarter.
Awesome.
What's 40 times 4?
160.
Could you imagine?
I don't do math in public. You know this.
That was great. I didn't think you were going to be able to do it. 160 points in a game would have been incredible. Like that's the run that they went on, right?
Right.
And it was like everybody had counted them out because the whole narrative was like they're the young guys. They're not going to be able to take a game away at home. They don't have the moxie to do it. They're going to feel defeated. Blah 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 blah. They're going to shrink against these big veterans.
Yeah.
Game 1, they completely shut them down. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so like one, I hate the Warriors, but this was like a historic shrink and a historic step up from the little guy, right? And like I was watching the game and going crazy. And I didn't think about it that night, but the next day I was thinking about it and I was like I can't believe that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was incredible, right? That they went into their home court and gave them their first loss on that court, literally on that court in the playoffs ever.
Wow.
And it was just like, you could tell watching the game that the Warriors thought they had it in the bag. Like, it was over. They thought what we thought.
Yeah.
15 points at home.
Yeah.
It's over.
We've done this.
And they got lulled to sleep.
Yeah.
And the Celtics came roaring back. And like, immediately I was like, that's what happens when my faith struggles. It's not usually, not every now and then it is. It's not usually I got angry at God, or I don't believe prayer works, or I don't, or I don't have time. It's usually just kind of a lulled to sleep. Yeah. Just kind of like I'm good. Yeah. Just like the Warriors. I'm good at the beginning of that fourth quarter. Just kind of lulled to sleep. And then, so that's what happened. What
I
do you
love
think?
that. Well, so I'm thinking of, Jesus often uses like really exaggerated things like to shake us awake. It's like he will use, so that's such an exaggeration, like scoring 160 points in a basketball game is it unheard of? I don't know. But
in modern basketball, yeah.
100%. So but
it's like what they do in the All-Star game when no one's playing defense and they're like the defense will lob alley-oops to the offense because they're just having fun.
Yeah. But in his parables, he would often have this one line where it was like, well, gosh, like, and that was its intended response. Like, hey, I'm kind of losing your attention here, and I'm going to take you by the shoulders, and I'm just going to give you a little wiggle, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm listening, And so by the way, I love how, again, I feel like this is foundational. Like you boiling it down to that simple thing makes me just dying to see the rest of the games. Like I'm invested now. I want to know what's going to happen.
For sure.
Okay, so what happened last night?
Okay, so here's the crazy thing. So they got lulled to sleep and like demoralized, right?
Yeah.
But they got the champion, right?
Yeah.
So they come back. They win game 2 at home pretty easily.
Uh-huh.
And then they go back to Boston, and Boston is great at home. Boston wins at home.
Uh-huh.
But then Golden State steals a game back.
In Boston?
In Boston. So it goes back 2-2.
Oh, okay.
It goes back to Golden State 2-2.
Yeah.
Last night's game, Golden State wins at home. So they're up 3-2.
Okay.
And they only need to win one game. So they're going back to Boston.
Gotcha.
So kind of the thought is, what people think are going to happen is, Boston will probably win at home.
Yeah.
And then Golden State will probably win at home. So,
okay, so this is tonight or tomorrow night?
It's a couple days from now. Well, as it comes out, like that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I wanted to do this now because the series will be over. Like it might not end up being a perfect thing, but like as much as I want Boston to win, I like Boston. I hate Golden State. Yeah, so I want them to lose, but it's like I kind of assumed that they would. Yeah, that they would win because of the whole veteran, harder champion, that sort of thing. Yeah, but that first game, it was such a shock where like everybody was just like, "What happened?" The Celtics were like, what happened? The Golden State were like, the TV announcers like, what happened? I'm sitting there like, what happened? And it just reminded me of the whole getting lulled to sleep, or like the comfortability, right?
Exactly.
Of like we're good. It's like, oh, I could be like, oh, I've been around the church my whole life. I don't need to pray today. And then that becomes just kind of getting lulled to sleep for multiple days in a row. Yep. It's like, no, we need to come back. And like, what happens when strong people come back? They're now leading the series.
I love that. That's so good.
Okay, that's our show for today. Allison Jaquitha, it's been a pleasure hanging out with you today.
Thank you.
Do you do jazz hands and Steel Magnolias?
I do. Yeah.
That was the weirdest.
That was
laugh
weird,
ever.
wasn't
You
it?
sounded like Janice from Friends. That's our show for today. I'll be back next week. See ya. Thank you guys for listening and watching today. We hope that you enjoyed today's show. If you did, again, please hit subscribe. It's the nicest thing you can do for any podcaster, but especially here for us. You guys are the best. We just thank you so much for sticking around with us. We are so glad to see the show continues to grow. Y'all are the best. Love you. Bye.